everyone, this is Matthew Movies coming at you with a bit of a rant about my least favorite scene in Man of Steel. Just to give you a bit of an idea of what I think of the DC Extended Universe as a whole, I feel that all three movies that have come out so far have had a few things about them that were really, really well done, and then the majority of it has kind of sucked in my opinion. And for Man of Steel, the first movie that came out, I felt probably, it was probably about 50-50. But there was one scene near the beginning that drove me absolutely bonkers, and I'm going to be talking about it a little bit in depth, so keep in mind that there are going to be some slight spoilers here. If you haven't seen the movie, check it out. You may feel completely different than I do, but I think this scene is mind-bogglingly terrible, and that is the scene in which they kill off Jonathan Kent, Superman's dad. Previously, from what I understand, and now I am by no means a authority on the character, but I always thought that he had been previously killed off with a heart attack. So, you know, it was sad, but it wasn't something that Superman was responsible for. Whereas in this movie, they tried to make it more like that Superman was responsible for it, which I always felt like was a bit of a ripoff of the whole Spider-Man origin story. And I was never a fan of that. But the way in which they do it, I think, is absolutely stupid. Like, it is dumb. Whoever wrote this scene is, in my opinion, just didn't think things through. I thought it was completely stupid, completely garbage. It made the Superman character look like a complete jerk to me. So to give you an idea of the scene, the way they have it set up, the three of them, Ma Kent, Pa Kent, and Superman, are traveling down a road when all of a sudden there's like a hurricane or tornado or whatever, and it's coming to the car, so they need to get out of the car in order to stay safe, even though Superman obviously is in no danger, but they need to keep up appearances because Superman's dad is obsessed with nobody finding out who he is because he's afraid that they'll come and try to hurt him or try to do whatever to him, even though he's Superman and could probably destroy anybody who came. You know, it's reasonable for him to not want his son to feel like a freak, so he's like, okay, well, let's go. So they're going, and they leave their dog in the car. Now, first off, on the face of that alone, I always thought that was stupid. I don't feel like anybody who loves their pet would have not thought about bringing their pet. I think that was really dumb at the setup in and of itself. If you're a pet owner and you're a pet lover, and you have pet buddies, you're not going to be like, oh crap, I forgot my pets in my car. Like, that's not going to happen, right? But okay, let's drop that and say, you know, they're scared in the moment, which again doesn't make any sense because they have Superman with them who could easily protect them if the worst comes to worst. So they should be just keeping up appearances here. Shouldn't be like a scary moment for any of them. But let's just say for whatever reason, logic was out the window and they were like, oh, frightened, right? Okay, so sure. So they decide that they need to go back and get the dog. Reasonably so. They don't want their dog to be killed. So Pa Kent, Jonathan Kent, decides that he's the one who has to do it. Even though he's a weak man and he's getting older, he needs to be the one to do it because he doesn't want Superman to go out and do that because he doesn't want him to be revealed. How does that make any sense? He didn't have to go out there and like use his laser vision to open the car door or fly over there. He could have casually strolled over there, gotten the dog, and gotten out of there. He could go slightly faster than Jonathan Kent does and been perfectly fine. But come on, that is just stupid, right? And especially considering this is a guy who's got super speed, right? Like, he could have gone and he could have walked where people couldn't see him, then and he got the dog over there. Nobody else had any idea they left the dog there. Nobody else. People might be like, oh, that was weird. There was some weird shushing noise, but it's also a tornado, so there's wind everywhere. Nobody's going to notice that. Superman could easily have done that. But let's just say, for whatever reason, in this movie, they never showed him to have, like, Flash style super fast speed, right? And I know in the comics and in the previous stuff he was never quite as fast as the Flash, but he was pretty damn close. So he should have easily be able to get that dog out of there without anybody seeing anything, right? But let's just say he doesn't have that power in this movie. Let's just say he doesn't have super speed whatsoever. So he could, instead of doing that, he could have strolled over there and grabbed the dog and come back, and nobody would have been any the wiser. But for some reason, Jonathan Kent has to be the one to go. And then like a tower, the electrical tower or something, I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was something like that, falls on the truck and kills him. And it's not like Superman isn't watching it fall on him, and Jonathan Kent doesn't try to get out of the way. He just kind of stands there, sees it coming, and looks at Superman, and is basically like, no, stay, and then he gets killed. Like, come on, like, that is just dumb. Like, he could have saved him. He could have gone in the first place. He could have saved him. He could have done any number of things to make it so that his dad didn't die. But whatever. They made that's the way he dies. And again, I think that is crap. But let's pretend like that scene was masterfully written and affecting, and I cried, and I was so upset, and it made perfect sense, and Superman looked like he was heroic because he was saving everybody around him by making the sacrifice of not saving anybody, which that makes sense, right? But let's pretend it does. Let's pretend like this is the best written scene I've ever seen in my life. You would think that going from there, that would affect the rest of the movie. And it kind of does. He's emo throughout the rest of the movie because he feels responsible. But his actions are completely the opposite of somebody who in that situation should be. The rest of the movie, he literally let his father figure die to keep his secret. He allowed that to happen. Now, obviously, it was his father figure's wishes that he did so, but he allowed that to happen. So throughout the rest of the movie, he goes around and he does everything he can to protect his secret, right? Heck no. He is just the biggest blabbermouth in the world. He saves the guys on the oil tanker without anything covering his face, anything covering anything. He just saves them, which, okay, fine. You could say, he didn't have time to. Again, he's Superman. He did have time to get something to cover his face or whatever. But let's pretend like he couldn't, and whatever. So he made that sacrifice. Okay, that's fine. We can let that one go, right? But that's not all. Like, later in the movie, Lois Lane decides that she wants to figure out who Superman is, and it's like in a montage, and it looks like she talks to 5 people, and yep, that's who Superman is, and she's 100% right. It's Clark Kent, because this guy is going around dropping bombs like nobody's business. Like, he meets with the military people, and he for no reason, nobody asks him, where are you from? He just volunteers the information that he's from Kansas, I should say. Why would you do that? That is ridiculous. Like, if I was the military guy and I wanted to figure out Superman's identity, which I would want to because he's like the biggest nuclear bomb in the world, all I would do is go, he's from Texas, or he's from Kansas, you say. I know what I'll do. I'll do some research and see if there's any kind of localized area where there's all kinds of stories where people miraculously were saved. That Smallville place seems to have a bunch of stories like that. Their newspaper is riddled by miraculous survivals. I wonder if he could be from there. Like, come on, man. He shows no care throughout the rest of the movie whatsoever for his secret identity. Like, he might as well be walking around with it hi, my name is Clark Kent sign on. And yet early in the movie, he lets his dad die to keep his secret. Like, if I was Jonathan Kent in that movie, I'd be looking down from heaven or from whatever you want to believe happens after death or whatever. If I somehow knew that this is what happened, I would be rolling over in my grave, because what a jerk this Superman is in this movie. He lets me die to protect his secret. Again, I'll give him because I wanted him to, but he went through with it. He let his father figure die to keep his secret, and then throughout the rest of the movie, he's like, dum 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 dum. Hey guys, I'm Superman. I'm Clark Kent. Like, come on, brutal, just brutal. So that's my least favorite scene in that movie. If you're a fan of that scene in that movie, please let me know in the comments below. Please let me know how it makes any sense that he is so careless with his secret identity throughout the rest of the movie. Please explain to me how it makes sense that he couldn't have gone and saved that dog. And do not try to tell me, oh, he was just doing his dad's wishes. It's not like he was a teenage boy who was like, oh, I don't know anything in this world. Like, he looks like a grown-ass man in that scene. So please, just let me know. You give me a reason why this whole thing works for you, and I'll be very happy to have my mind changed. So have a nice day, and please, please, please subscribe down below. I always love getting new subscribers. And hey, seriously, have a nice day.